Yeah, I was surprised. Cal is not known for coming across the country and recruiting the Deep South incredibly well. They are in the ACC now, so you can sell that more than you ever have out up in Berkeley. And academically, we understand that this is one of the premier programs in the country. But still, you just expect conventionally for recruits to not only stay in their region, but yeah, kind of lean towards those who have long been linked to them, and certainly Florida State was that in this scenario. So I was surprised, like anyone else, and you know our group chat at Rivals was surprised. I think his tweet saying, "Hey, come out and respect this decision." It probably tells you that Cal was not only in it for longer than people realize, but certainly doing very well behind closed doors. And all of a sudden, they've got 3 Thomas County Central kids on the commitment list. So it's a little bizarre. Clearly, Cal's got found something there in South Georgia. That they're leaning on. Holding on to all 3 will be, I think, a different scenario, but you certainly, would rather win those recruitments at any point than not be a factor at all. But I do think, like you said, this is a bigger indication of what Florida State is doing or not doing, under Mike Norvell. Before they got the corner from Maryland, every kid committed was an in-state kid. We know what happened with Smeagol, who again just committed to Michigan. So you're still searching for your QB1. And simultaneously, this new group of assistant coaches that Mike Norvell has hired has been sort of up and down to this point. Official visit season is still ahead, and I think, like most programs, we'll probably see a little bit of a bump, in terms of volume and overall commitments for Florida State. But, the battles in the state of Florida that are major have been 50-50 at best for FSU. A lot of their commitments are visiting other programs. Darrell Bell, Tadarius Hughes, Karan Maycog. I mean, to come to mind immediately, they're visiting several programs, since making that Florida State commitment. So there's a real crossroads ahead, for this recruiting class. And not only trying to find that QB1, which is always important for stability, but I think just, keeping the core group together, I think is going to be, interesting for this group, because some of those guys that are on board committed to some previous assistant coaches, and they've just, held on and stuck with it through the transition, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. So you're interesting. It's interesting to see, how long they'll be able to hold on to some of these pledges. But if you keep missing on, pipeline guys, if you keep, the border in the state of Florida, closed, but those guys are all visiting other programs. So if these trends continue in the direction that they feel like they're trending today, Florida State could be in for a rougher 26 cycle than we saw in 25. And for those who don't remember, in 25, it was a bit of a fire sale at one point. Once, Tramel Jones, some of these other guys flipped away from Florida State, they had to rebuild the class very late in the cycle. And they did a good job relative to the time they had. But it's easier said than done in a smaller window than the bulk of the 26 cycle, which we're still in the thick of. So if the trends continue, Florida State could potentially, limp into one of its lower, rated classes, not only in the Norvell era, but in the modern era. And that's just frankly unacceptable for a program with that type of prestige, those built-in pipelines, not only in the panhandle in the northern part of the state of Florida, but certainly South Georgia, which, as you know, Brian, if Florida State is rolling, they're pulling kids from Thomas County, they're pulling kids from Valdosta, they're doing really well over the state line, in South Georgia, and those are not congruent with what we're seeing right now, trend